Hey, it's Michael Saul, but everybody calls me Tiny, so you can too. And this video is time for some rotation, plus 2 new stocks to watch for this week. This is market analysis for the week of February 27th, 2017. Already 2 months in the books for 2017. All right, so I want to start off this video talking about Momenta Pharma. We talked about this in last week's video, and I highlighted this pattern, was looking for continuation. So I got an email, and somebody was, I don't want to use the word nasty, but they were gloating a little that the trade didn't work out so well. Well, here's the deal. There was no trade on this, but let's do this both ways. Okay. First of all, when you have a pattern like this, and I clearly stated that we had the momentum up, we had the pause, I'm looking for momentum to continue, then you have to wait to get confirmation. Otherwise, all it is just pretty artwork. All patterns, these head and shoulders and flags and coils and triangles and wedges and everything else, they're all just pretty artwork until they get confirmation. That's first of all. This never did get confirmation. But I am not trying to pass the buck or just say, oh no, it didn't confirm. There was no way you could have gotten in this until Tuesday morning at the open. And if you got in, unless you took it before I talked about it, okay? But based on me talking about the stock, okay, there was no way to get in it before Tuesday morning. Monday was the holiday, was President's Day. So on Tuesday morning, it gapped down pretty severely. But if you had a market order in, well, by the end of the day, Tuesday, you were ahead. By the end of the day, Wednesday, you were ahead. By the end of the day, Thursday, you were ahead. And if you decided to just enter in on Tuesday and then not check anything until Friday, I don't know why, but you still would have been ahead. So yeah, I'm not counting this as a trade. In my opinion, it never triggered off. It never broke out here, but the pattern didn't quote unquote work, but there's no harm, no foul. And if you had to put a trade in because I don't know why, you had to put a market order in or something, you were leaving the country or you wouldn't be near your account or anything, you still would have done okay percentage-wise. You wouldn't have lost. You dipped down a little bit here, but if you're using this entry on this candle at 1475 and it went to as high off of that as 1605, which is a pretty nice move. If you 1665, so almost $2. Pretty nice move if you ask me. But anyway, I'm not counting this as a trade, meaning I'm not going to manage it here because the pattern did not continue. Instead, there was news, it gapped down, etc. Okay? All right, great. Now, any questions, tiny@attackthemarkets.com, and I'll clear it up for you. So let's talk about the market. Well, the market continues to push higher. On Thursday, one second, right here, this candle right here on Thursday the 23rd, we did gap up higher, closed below the open. There was yet another hanging man candle, okay, like we saw the previous week. And the next day on Friday, we did gap down below it, but we didn't stay there past 10 o'clock, and we wound up getting a little bouncy. Now, it wasn't a huge move or anything like that. You could see we're only up 30 cents. It wasn't a big move net, but if you look at the size of the candle, it was, the bulls came in and they pushed it up. Now, let's go to a shorter time frame here. If we go to a 15-minute time frame, look at the last 45 minutes of the day. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, it was some pretty nice buy programs there. So, again, we continue to be overbought. We continue to be stretched. I am still looking for a pullback sooner rather than later, and nothing has changed, in my opinion, that would say this is not going to be yet another buyable pullback. Now, I do use some proprietary breadth indicators, and they are all diverging up here, which tells me that the pullback could be soon. Again, I don't have a trade signal for it, so I'm not saying it's a short, that's not what I'm saying. But if you're long, continue to trail stops. Let's go through the indices. You got the Qs acting okay. The Russell still lagging a little bit. Did hit the new high, then pulled back a little bit sharper than the rest of them. It looked like it was over My eyes are just getting worse and worse here, but it was over 2 days instead of just the 1 day. Mid caps, okay, and then the Dow looks like the S&P. Now, one of the reasons why I also think a pullback is coming is because of bonds, and this has to do with that whole rotation deal I talked about in the title of this video. Is it time for some rotation here? We're going to rotate out of equities and into bonds. Now, the correlation between the bond market and the stock market is about 60%. Okay, it's not, oh my goodness, if the bonds go one way, stocks always go the other way. I mean, you can see here the market has been continuing to rip up, and the bonds, stopped going down basically in December. They've been going sideways. But it looks like this is a pretty good piece of support here. So again, if we can break out, we could get a pretty nice bounce on the bonds, percentage-wise, perhaps up even to the 200-day moving average, and or this gap fill, depending on which one comes first. Because right now it's the gap fill, but depending on what the 200-day moving average does. So I think it could be time to see a rotation into bonds. And I think in this case, I believe that will cause some money to leave the stock market. Again, I don't think it's the start of a bear market. I don't think it's going to be anything more than a pullback to position some long side exposure once the pullback stops. The real question is it going to be a simple pullback? In other words, a few days where we coil. Here's a little longer coil. Here's a little, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, a couple of weeks here. Or is it going to be more complex, where maybe it takes a month or maybe even longer, right? Something like this. But this was event-driven, kind of everybody waiting on the election. But you can go back, you can look at tons of examples between corrective, right? So it's a nice complex correction before it went higher. Okay, so that's the big question. In my opinion, considering that we had a couple of pretty simple corrections that were, I guess this whole thing could be considered more of a complex one, but 1, 2, 3, I would think that the next correction could be a bit more complex, which means it could lull us to sleep. It could go sideways for a while, right? A sideways down drift. Again, probably not a sell signal, but looking for some digestion and releasing some of this upside energy and allowing the bulls to come back in. All right, let's look at some of the sectors. Semiconductors pulling back here. Clad tanker. Okay, Intel into the 50-day moving average. Nice. We talked about this bounce from the hammer. See if we can get through the 50-day. Here's MU holding the 50-day now with a hammer there. But like an AMD, NVIDIA. Wow, so NVIDIA hit the high and just boom. Everybody thought, oh, it's just going to keep going, just going to keep going. Now it's back down here. See if it holds this 95 area, which is some pretty decent support. How about the banks? Always want to look at the banks, and the banks are consolidating again at the highs. Bank of America, JP Morgan. Whoa, where are you, JP Morgan? There we go. Citigroup, Bank of New York. Okay, so Bank of New York consolidating here above the 50-day moving average. What about like a Goldman Sachs and the XBD? Goldman looks more like the banks. The brokers are in a similar pattern. Here's Morgan. It's like a Legg Mason. All right, what about big tech stocks like Amazon? See if it holds the 50-day, the 20 EMA there. Here's Apple. Here's Netflix. All right, skating along the 20 EMA, trying to consolidate here. Here's Alphabet. All right, still acting okay here. Always like to look at Caterpillar and John Deere. So Caterpillar had the consolidation. Looks like it may try to break above 100. Instead, boom, went the other way. But here's the hammer at 94. If it gets a bounce going, will the next time get through 100? That's what we're going to watch. Here's John Deere. How about the biotechs? Okay, the biotechs pulled back. Talked about Labu. Right, they pulled back. Still okay. Right, again, you have the right here. You have this breakout level. If you got in off the triangle break, right? To me, I wouldn't have my stop anywhere past break even at this point. But again, it's your money. You do what you want to do with it. Looks like it had a little trouble up there at 50. What about like a Biogen? Wow. Is that, or a Gilead? All right, nice bounce here. But I mean, Gilead's been in a downtrend. I mean, I remember somebody who was in the, I mean, what do we call it? I guess the inner circle, right? And they were just so bullish on Gilead, just kept thinking it was going to just keep going up forever. And I mean, look at this downtrend from started back here in the middle of 15. Right? Just anyway, let's see what it can do here. If it's going to roll over and continue to go. Here's gold headed to the 200-day moving average. I was looking for this to roll over, and I was wrong here. No signal, but still, I was still looking for this to go lower. If it breaks to the 200-day, you got this next level up here at 122. How about oil? Still sideways. Still sideways here with oil. Now here is the XOI. It's the MX Oil Index. So how many stocks are in here? 20. So you go through these quick, see what how they're setting up. So here's Hess sitting under the 20. Here's Valero consolidating up here. Just look for anything here. Yeah, nothing. Here's Chevron, and then here's Exxon. APP, and nothing screaming, oh my goodness, look at this pattern. So, yeah. I mean, Valero looks like the best looking consolidation, at least, right? If you want to look at it that way. Let's see what we got here. I'm pulling out all these. Here's oil and gas, refining, and marketing. So you got all that going for you as well. If we could pull a couple of trend lines here. All right, you got a nice little consolidation there to watch. All right, so let me recap before I talk about the two stocks. I believe we are overbought. I believe a pullback is coming sooner rather than later, especially now since it looks like bonds have found support. Of course, we want to see the TLT break to confirm that support. Otherwise, it's just pretty artwork as it goes back and forth. But look how stretched we are from the moving averages. I do believe a pullback is coming. I do not think it is a sell signal. Therefore, I'm not going to try to hone in and time exactly when it happens, because all that I'm looking to do is just trail stops here. When it gets taken out, it gets taken out. Right? You always want to let the market take you out if at all possible. Okay? I do believe the pullback will be another buying opportunity, but as I said earlier, I also think it may be a complex buyback, a complex pullback or consolidation. Okay, I have some proprietary breadth indicators that I like to watch. They are flashing a "we're getting tired" up here signal. Could even call it a sell signal. However, since the trend is so strong, it's really not a sell signal up here. Okay, I don't take sell signals in super strong uptrends. Any questions? Tiny@attackthemarkets.com. Let's talk about the two stocks. First is care.com. And this is a stock that has had its ups and downs here. Looks like an elevator. So up to 12, down to 750. Consolidated. Nice push up, and is now in a coil. Again, watch for the break. Otherwise, it's just pretty artwork. See if it can rally back up to 12. The next one is CSGS, and this is a bearish play. So had a nice push up since November, 36 up to 51, rolled over, sharp decline, is now consolidating here in a continuation coil. Wait for it to break below 39 and look as a first target down here just above 36, and then see where it can go from there. You have some support down here just above 32. All right, again, tiny@attackthemarkets.com. Don't forget to sign up for the free email list. Details at the end of this video. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.